so often about Yeshua, I would love to be another witness for her. And my wife would too. So she came up to New York. And the stuff that happened after that, I will tell you in a few minutes. Isaiah chapter 6, this is the calling of Isaiah. Remember, those key words, seeing they may not see, hearing they may not hear. Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. Also, I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and who will go for us? Then I said, Hineni, here I am, send me. And he said, go and tell this people. Keep on hearing, but do not understand. Keep on seeing, but do not perceive. Make the heart of this people dull and their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart and return and be healed. Then I said, I love this in Isaiah. So Isaiah responds, okay, Lord, how long should I do this? Because I don't know if you just understood what we just read. That doesn't sound like a fun task. Keep on hearing, but don't understand. It's like someone coming up here and speaking to you in Korean, and there's no Korean speakers. But you're just going to keep doing it, even though you don't understand, and you're not going to learn. So he says, how long? God responds, until the cities are laid waste and without inhabitant. The houses are without a man. The land is utterly desolate. The Lord has removed men far away, and forsaken places are many in the midst of the land. God says, you are going to have to do the job that I am asking you to do until there's nothing left, until the last person is gone, until the houses are destroyed, until there's nothing. Now, today, okay, outside of a God scenario, if someone asked you to do that, telling you you would not have any success, would you listen? Or would you think that's a foolish move? You know, the whole thing of count the cost. When you take a step of faith, of course you should plan. You should think of the different scenarios. But in this particular scenario, God is telling Isaiah, go out, tell my people of everything I've done for them, and to repent, essentially, as you read the book of Isaiah, and they're not going to listen to you. You might be asking, well, what's the point? Why would I do that? How long should I do that, God? Until the cities are laid waste, without inhabitant, utterly desolate. Men are gone. Forsaken places are many. But then there's this little glimmer of hope in verse 13. But yet a tenth, 10%, will be in it, and will return and be for consuming, as a terebinth tree or as an oak, whose stump remains when it is cut down, so the holy seed shall be its stump. There's going to be this little part that might hear your message, that will heed the word that I am giving to you. But yet you have to do the work knowing that you are going to be rejected, knowing that you are going to fail continually, knowing that it's not going to work. Who loves that? Think about that in your own mind, okay? I'm going to start a business knowing there's a 90% chance I'm going to fail. You going to start that business? Logically, no. I'm going to... I'm glad men are not deterred from chasing after women, because there's usually like a 90% chance you're going to fail too. But nobody really goes after those odds. Isaiah did. And essentially, the sower is hearkening back to this idea. You're going to throw your seed out knowing a ton of your seed is not going to take, it's not going to bear fruit for your family, and that's your livelihood. The livelihood that I personally see in my job, in my passion. I'm just fortunate and blessed that I get to work in my passion. I was made to have a broken heart because I was kicked off of a Jewish trip in Israel because I believed in Yeshua. And my heart broke for my people. And I'm just blessed that I get to work every day to try to help Jewish people see the Messiah. But if I don't focus on the future, things are going to start falling apart, at least the way I see it. And if a lot of people don't start focusing on the future, a lot of things are going to start falling apart. I have to take daring steps of faith, not necessarily knowing what's going to happen, but taking the necessary precaution and preparations to make sure that I give it my best attempt. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that Messianic Judaism is a wonderful thing, and I think it was a movement of God from the 60s and 70s. But now, believe it or not, Messianic Judaism seems to be on the decline. And I don't want to save Messianic Judaism, okay? It's still a wonderful thing. What I want to see flourish is I want to see Jewish people coming to the Lord. That's my heart. And so if nobody else is focusing on my generation, then I have to raise the trumpet, I have to raise the alarm, and I have to say, guys, we need to start reaching a generation that is different than the baby boomers, is different than Generation X. We need to start reaching the millennials, and we need to figure out how to do it. And so with Danit is a millennial, born between 1981 and I think 2000. We're called the millennial generation. And Danit is sitting in our living room one night. We had a short conversation about the Lord. We're having lots of fun in New York, showing her around. And I'm determined to talk to her about the Lord again. And so as I'm on the subway on my way home, I'm praying, God, please bring up this conversation. Preferably let her ask me, but let me bring it up if I need to. So I get there, my wife is studying, Danit is reading, and I start to prepare dinner. And she's not bringing it up. So here's my daunting, daring step of faith. Danit, can I share something with you? She says, okay. I said, would you do me a favor and read a portion of the Bible? She says, okay, sure. So I open up my Hebrew Bible, and I give her Isaiah 53. I said, just read this and tell me what you think. So she opens it up, and she reads it, and I'm in the kitchen. I can't see her because it's a New York apartment, and we're closed in, very tiny. And she's in the other room. For 10 minutes, she says nothing. And my wife, she's just kind of like on pins and needles, okay? Because my wife loves Danit. Danit is the sweetest girl you'll ever meet. And she realizes that this is the topic that must be broached, but it could also mean that we could possibly lose a friend. But I know it's so important. It's the basis for all of my faithful leaps from now on. I'm willing for this to happen. I'm willing to risk Sharon's friendship, possibly. Sorry, Sharon. I wasn't really risking Sharon's friendship. They're too good of a friend. So 10 minutes goes by and nothing. And finally I say, Danit, are you okay? She goes, yeah, I'm okay. It's just that I had to read it twice because I didn't really understand. A lot of what my rabbis teach says the opposite of this. That's a good thing. She says, it sounds kind of like him, but it doesn't make any sense. That's not what's taught about the Messiah. And you know who him was, by the way. And so I said, can I also show you another passage demonstrating how I know that Yeshua is the Messiah? She goes, okay. So I pull out a few more passages, and she's kind of stumped because she's never read these before. And of course, the rabbis are not teaching this stuff. She says, I can't do this because this is not what our rabbis are teaching. This is not what Judaism is. I go, but this is what Judaism is. Judaism is the belief in a Messiah. And the only difference between us is, has he come or has he not come? And we left it at that. I wasn't pressuring her. It was a longer conversation than I just kind of related. But that night, my wife and I are in our bedroom. She's in the other room. And my wife and I pray. And I don't pray this way very often. But I prayed, I think this is for the first time in my life, Lord, please give her visions and dreams. I don't know why I asked for that, but give her visions and dreams. Let her not be able to sleep without seeing you. The next morning, Jess, my wife, meets her at a Starbucks in Manhattan, and she says, oh, I had a dream last night. My wife is like, pardon me? She said, yeah, I had a dream. I have to tell you about it. So Danit goes into the bathroom. Jess whips out her phone, calls me. Danit had a dream. I don't know what it's about yet. I'll call you back in a little bit. So later, she tells me about this dream. She says, yeah, I was reading the Bible in my dream. I was sitting down and I was reading, I was looking down and thinking about all the stuff that we had been talking about, and I can't do that because I'm Jewish and it doesn't mix, and they're different. And she said, then a man came up to me and said, Danit, maybe they're not different. Maybe they work together. And then she woke up. And she said, I didn't look up in my dream because I knew who it was. Now, it doesn't end well yet, but the story's not over. Danit is in Israel. She's not a believer in Yeshua. She comes from a broken family, somewhat, part religious, part not. But Sharon's going to see her next week. So please pray that the Lord will continue to work in Danit's life. Because as we continue to take daring steps of faith, who do you think makes that seed grow? So as we're talking about Isaiah, and we're talking about daring steps of faith, Isaiah is called to do something that's incredibly daunting, knowing that he's going to most likely fail. If you read that, understand that, back into Luke chapter 8, the example of the sower, you understand that this is simply something that Isaiah has to do. He's been called by God to do it. The sower has to do this, because if he doesn't feed his family. And what's really cool in the Gospels is that a lot of the stories in one certain area are about the same subject. These are all about daunting steps of faith when you don't know what's going to happen. If